welcome to Life Chats with Maggie and Bunny. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Bunny.
Hello, 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 Bunny. How are
Hello.
you today?
I am okay today. How are you?
How's your vibration today?
Uh, well, right now it's pretty good.
Good, because that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah,
How our vibration changes our world, or does it?
right. I think
Does
we
our
both,
vibration?
I believe it does. I think you believe it does. So,
And maybe if I could put you on the spot first, can you explain to our listeners what is a vibration?
well, energetically, an energetic vibration, is like, I don't have like a definition, but what I feel is because I feel into things, I can feel energy. So it's a lot of times for me, it would be like expressed in emotion, which is energy in motion, which would be like the different emotions. So feeling fear, feeling anger, feeling guilt, feeling shame, then moving up the frequency scale or vibration scale to feeling, love and courage and those kind of vibrations as well. So that's to me, that's kind of what it is like.
Mm-hmm.
And also even through music. So like frequency and sound, light vibration. So there's tons of different scientific things. We're not here for
Yeah,
science today, but yeah, that's definitely all those kind of things as vibration.
yeah.
To me. Yeah.
And kind of what brought it to mind for me was sometimes, and let me ask our listeners, do you ever just wake up in the morning super happy?
Yeah.
Or do you ever wake up super low,
Yeah.
that the whole world is going to piss on your parade that day and it's just not good? I've experienced both,
Hmm.
where I can't wait. Today's a wonderful day. It's kind of like, I'm in fairyland
Yeah.
and all is good. I'm, in some fairy tale storybook that I read as a child. You know, the whole world is coming up butterflies.
Hmm.
But I've also woken up cranky,
Yeah.
where ugh, nothing's going to go right.
Hmm.
I'm going to be in a bad mood. How do those two emotional wake ups or emotional starts to your day change your world? Do they? I think, and it's just my thoughts, I think they do.
Hmm.
And because I have experienced both, I know that we all live in choice. You and I have talked about this many times, that we live in choice of what do we want to be. And if I have my choice, I want to be in the higher vibration. I want to be in a good mood. I want to be happy. I want to see things with those rose colored glasses on, so to speak. So if I have a choice, that's how I'm going to live my life, and that's how I'm going to live my day. So when I wake up in that not so good one, I know I have to do things to change that, whether it's meditation, listening to music, gratitude journals, just changing the perspective. I remember as a kid, if I woke up in a cranky mood, my mother'd say, "You better go to bed and get out of the other side." And, or they've said, you've heard, if you're going to cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
So it was, you have choice. So I think part of my belief system was that I have a choice
Right.
and I can change that choice. And along that vibrational scale, I get to choose where I want to be.
Right.
Society doesn't choose. What's happening to me doesn't choose. I get to choose.
Right.
And I remember hearing an example of that one time, and I'll share it with us, that a car crash, for example, many of us have been in a car crash in our lifetime. A car crash, for the person in that car crash, is their worst day ever. They've been
Mhm.
in a car accident, their car is totaled, their car is
Right.
dented, they need something. But to the auto body shop, cars getting in a car crash is a good thing,
Right.
it means business for them. To the people who sell new fenders and all of that stuff,
Yeah.
car crash is a good thing for them. So it's the perspective of how you're looking at it,
Right.
where you want to be and which vibration you're at. To the person who gets crashed on, maybe their vibration is not so good, that's not a good thing.
Right.
But it's all a matter of the perspective of how you look at it.
Yeah.
You know, you can be in that same car crash and go, "Oh, thank goodness I'm alive. Thank
Right.
goodness nobody was hurt.
Right.
Thank goodness it's just a car."
Yeah.
You know, so we get to change that perspective if we want to.
Right. Yeah. But there, I mean, there are going to be times where that car crash at first, you're going to react in a way that is perhaps
Yeah.
not in the, and that's the thing too, is about reactions. Like having an emotional reaction to something is like possibly the first thing. And I do think that like even that these kind of things come down to our beliefs. So what if we believe something should happen or shouldn't happen a certain way, it can cause us to have an emotional reaction to it. And again, it's the, perspective of if we're thinking, why did this happen to me? This is like, oh, I when you're talking about things, I remember my dad saying, "Oh, it's just a Murphy day," meaning that anything that could go wrong will go wrong. So it's those days where when you're in that
The
vibration where
Murphy's Law.
yeah, well, that's why he called it Murphy Day, because you're just having a Murphy's Day. You're having a day where that anything will go wrong, and it is exactly what you say. Like, say that you woke up and you were tired. You didn't have very good night's rest, and so you're a little bit cranky already. You're starting in that cranky kind of mood, and you stand up and you stub your toe on like the corner of your bed, and then you open the door and like you step in, some mess that your cat left. And you're like, what? Why is this happening to me? Why is this all happening to me? And so you can get that if you stay in that kind of vibration, you can start just looking at everything from that perspective. Like that's where the moment where you're like, oh, now I'm late for work, and now, oh, I'm getting every red light on my way.
Yeah.
Which on another time, if you got a red light, you wouldn't even, if you were in the for me perspective where you're like different change perspective, you wouldn't even care that you were getting a red light. And if somebody cut you off in traffic, you're like, go ahead. Like it's fine. It's like it doesn't bother you at all. And so that I think is kind of where um I guess like for me is like if I don't want to keep seeing the reflection of the universe of that inner turmoil in my life and the inside of me, because it is from whatever you're seeing inside, that's where the perspective changes. I do sometimes use an external thing of like listening to music or going for a walk or
Hmm.
dancing, moving my body, that kind of stuff too, to kind of help raise, or even watching a movie. Like if I'm in like some of my darkest, deepest days of when I'd wake up grieving, is I would watch a comedy show, something that I knew that would have me laughing. And yes, it's not going to stop me from like pulling me completely out of the grief, but it
Right.
might raise it a little bit higher so I can at least be okay with,
Hmm.
a neutral space with that. And so if that's good enough for that day, it's good enough for that day. Journaling,
Yeah.
that's another really good one.
And we're not
Yeah.
suggesting for 1 second that it's not okay to sit in the grief
Right. Yeah.
and that it's not okay to sit in the anger
Mm-hmm.
and feel those emotions, because sometimes that's also what we have to do.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes we need to feel the emotions that we're
Mm-hmm.
feeling and
Right.
allow ourselves to do that. But I think at the same token, if we don't want to stay there for the whole entire day and
Right.
allow the whole entire day to be a Murphy day,
Yeah.
we can flip the switch
Right.
and flip the narrative and say, no, I can change this.
Yep.
i'm I'm going to turn the Murphy day upside down
Right.
and start over, because that's the good thing about this human experience that we have. You don't have to wait and say, well, I'm going to wake up in a better mood tomorrow.
Right.
You can just say, I'm going to change that now.
Right.
You know, every moment that we're alive, we get to make a different choice.
Yeah,
And it
exactly.
could be even a matter of, like I said, gratitude, singing, dancing,
Mhm.
just doing something to flip the switch.
Yeah.
And
Coloring, painting, so many different
yeah,
things.
or paying something forward, doing
Yeah.
something, you know, it's
Yeah.
if you're in the line at the coffee shop, pay for someone else's.
Yeah.
It's amazing the little tiny things that will flip that switch
Right. Right.
and make you feel good.
Yeah. The biggest thing is just changing perspective. Even saying like that there is another perspective, like hunting for that, because your ego loves to hunt for things. So if you give it a task, if you say, today we're gonna look for the best, like how is these things for me?
Yeah.
What lessons did I learn? What things, whatever, how was this for me? How is this the universe showing me? And I did this Saturday. This Saturday we were at a birthday party for our friend, and I met somebody for the first time, and I was talking to her most of the party. And at one point, I said something about how this is like, I know that this is my last life on Earth, and she said, "Oh, you're so lucky." And I always get sad when people say that, because I love life. And she said, and I said that to her. I said, I get sad when people, I said, "Oh, I'm really sad that you said that, because I love life." And she goes, "Well, not like every day." And I said, "No, every day. Even when I'm at my lowest, I love life." And she goes, "Wow, that's such a interesting perspective to have." Like, and I said, and I kind of asked myself this, because then I said, "Oh, I've always been that way. I was told I smiled all the time as a kid." And I kind of just took that for granted. But then I was like, wait, why do I do that? Why do I have this? And I said, to me, I think it's sort of like, and this is a different in perspective, is I said, it's like as if I'm at my own retirement party, and everybody in the universe around me that I interact with that say, "Oh, you're lucky," that they're guests at my retirement party. So I am happy as the person who is retiring. I am so happy that we're celebrating this. I'm so happy. And the people around me are celebrating that they're honoring me, but they got to go to
Hmm.
work tomorrow. So so they're not so happy about at my retirement party where I am. So like the perspectives of that. Exactly like that. If somebody's in a retirement party, you're happy for
Yeah.
them. You're happy that they're moving on. You might miss them a little bit too. There's some mixed emotions in that. Or some people might even be relieved. That's the whole thing about perspectives. But like, as the person who has to go to work tomorrow, you are having that as well, like, so
Yeah.
it's all about the perspectives in that. So I just thought I'd share that story
Yeah. And it's the
about
same as, and
perspective.
that brings to mind for me the living life as it is instead of how we think it should be. And that was a game changer for me when I was able to live life as it is
Hmm.
instead of how I thought it should be.
Right.
Think about that for a minute. Are you living life as it is? Or do you live in one of these fairy tale books of how you think it should be,
Right.
that happily ever after, the family you thought you should have,
Right. Yeah.
the experiences that you thought you should have?
Right.
Because sometimes when we're busy looking at life through the lens of the way I think it should be, we miss out on what it is.
Right. And that is the belief work, right? That is exactly that. If you believe, and like you said, it could be from the programming and conditioning of what we see on TV and movies. Like when you brought up the family thing, that's what I think about, are all of those, family, or even Friends, the TV show Friends. And it's like these six people who are like, no matter what, they're always friends, and nobody like really leaves or anything until like the show ends, because they're moving on with their life in different spaces.
Yeah.
And so like, it's like it could, people can come and go out of your life. Like it does look different
Yeah.
in, in the reality, as we'll say, like in what you're presented in life could look like that, but more than likely not, it's not going to look like that. Like more times it's going to
Yeah.
look however it looks, and you can still find the good stuff in that. But like you
Yeah.
said, if you're comparing it to something else,
Hmm.
that whole adage of the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Like if you're comparing it that way, it can lead you to having maybe
Yeah, sometimes you gotta just look at your own grass and be happy with what you
yeah,
have.
yeah,
And even if you only have dirt,
yeah,
be happy with
exactly.
that. And, that whole perspective for me changed when I did start to look at the way life is. And even now, when you look at, if we were to look at fairy tales, if you look at the story of Snow White or the story of Hansel and Gretel, we're thinking about all the wonderful things, Snow White, she got her prince and all that, but she had to live a pretty shitty life
Yeah,
before that happened.
yeah,
Where lots of times when you think of that book, we don't think of the trauma that was
yeah,
involved in her life, and even the story of Hansel and Gretel, which we all heard when we were children, the
yeah,
breadcrumbs on the path. Those children were deserted
yeah,
in
yeah,
the woods.
yeah. Nobody came looking for them.
What is the message?
Yeah,
But we see those things for the happily ever after part instead of what they had to overcome
right.
and how life was for them instead of happening to them.
Right. Right.
That changes things. It's a game changer when you
Yeah.
look at life that way. And it does raise your vibration when
Yeah.
you're able to look at all that you do have and all that it is.
Hmm.
Because sometimes, even if we have nothing, we have everything,
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
And so many people who would say there are people who wish they had the life that you had. There are people out there who do that. Now again, it doesn't mean that what you're going, because we don't want to say that it means that what you're going
No,
through, that you don't have hard times, that we don't have hard times, that we don't honor the feelings and things that come up. And we definitely do. It's just um
no
we
matter
choose.
where you are in life and no matter what is happening to you, you can raise your vibration.
Yeah. And we choose to, like, I like living a life that is more peace than not. And
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that and this is my choice for me. I'm perfectly okay if other people want to choose the life of chaos and what, if they want to live like that, that's fine. I don't
yeah,
personally understand it, because to me it doesn't feel good in my body. It doesn't feel good to my
yeah,
soul. So it feels better for me to be in a place of peace. And so that's why I'm going to choose the steps that will get me closer and closer to spending more time in
yeah.
peace than in not.
And that's what is really nice about free will in life
Yeah.
is we all get free will to choose the life that we want.
Right.
What life are you choosing? That's what I
Yes.
say to our listeners today. What life are you choosing? And is it all that you want? Is
Hmm.
it at a higher vibration of happiness and joy and love?
Right.
Is it where you want it to be? And if it isn't where you want it to be, do whatever it is you need to do. And
Right.
it's not a matter of having more money. It's not a matter of having more stuff.
Right.
It's a matter of inside your soul, inside your heart.
Hmm.
You get to choose because we all have free will.
Right. So
Yeah.
now I think we're gonna wrap up, and I will say this: we got our first comment on a video on Spotify, which was exciting. We do get some comments on our Facebook. We also have had a few comments on YouTube, likes, shares. Thank you so much for doing that for us. This is something that we do think that we have a lot to talk about, and we would love to keep spreading love and compassion and all of that throughout the world, and healing. So if you guys could help us out, that would be great. We'd love it. And also, if you want to tell us any topics you want to talk about, or just email us something, you can do that as well at ataboveandbeyond@gmail.com. And if you want to find out about our books and everything else that we do, you can just go to our website, ataboveandbeyond.com. That's it for me. How about you?
I think that's it for me too. I hear the rain pouring down outside.
Ooh.
So I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but it's now raining here.
Yeah. The flowers
With
are
the
getting
thunder in
fed.
the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.